Hi, this is Ace Marshall for the Light Green Leaf YouTube channel, and I'm here in Westminster at the Houses of Parliament on the 11th of September 2019 for not only the remembrance of the psychological attack which was pulled off on the American people 18 years ago, but also it's now GcMAF Awareness Day. So if you're not sure about GcMAF, it stands for Globulin Component Macrophage Activating Factor, which is a bit of a mouthful. It's a protein that's naturally found in the body. There's been over 1,000 scientific papers to show GcMAF is highly effective in activating white blood cells to rid the body of toxins and bacteria and viruses and things. GcMAF deficiency is a cause of many diseases. Big Pharma has tried to shut this down through the MHRA and hit pieces in the media, so we're here to raise our voices and shout about it.
Silence so that we can reflect and send our positive thoughts to Lyn and visualise David and Lyn back in the laboratory producing GcMAF, and GcMAF being available to the wider public, and people who are currently condemned to death by the MHRA, by the pharmaceutical industry, for not allowing GcMAF and of course many other proven effective cancer treatments to come to market so that they can monopolise the revenue from chemo and radiotherapy. So David, no.
Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you all very much for coming. There are a lot more people here than I thought there would be, and I know some of you have travelled a very long way. It's very, very good of you, and thank you very much for supporting Lyn Thyer, who is having a really terrible time in the worst prisons in Europe, which are French prisons. She's with another innocent woman. What the French do is they round up innocent people, illegal under the Magna Carta and common and habeas corpus in England. But in France and Europe they can just round them up, put them in prison, and then they go looking for their husbands or boyfriends. So there are even more innocent people in French prison than there are in English prison. She's extradited under the illegal European arrest warrant. The European arrest warrant legislation says that no evidence is necessary. I'm sorry, but under Magna Carta, which can never be repealed, and under the Habeas Corpus Act, which can never be repealed, they have to produce evidence in England. So the extradition laws are completely illegal in England. Lyn, of course, has committed no crimes either in England or France. In fact, neither of us did anything with GcMAF in France, and yet the MHRA has deliberately organised her extradition to give her a sentence which she is not due. She has committed no crime, and yet they want her 2 years, 4 months before her trial, and then 10 years as a sentence. This is utter corruption. It is utter evil. And this is the European Union, which is utter evil. And, well, she of course was working on GcMAF, and she was stunningly successful. She ran our 2 clinics. In the first clinic, she got the success rate up with terminal stage 4 cancer to 75% of lives saved. In the Guernsey clinic, the last clinic they closed down, she got the success rate with terminal stage 4 cancer up to 89%. And if the MHRA hadn't closed us down, we were trying to get closer and closer to 100% of all terminal stage 4 lives saved. So the MHRA and that very corrupt parliament over there have killed 2 million people by concealing GcMAF from the public since it was discovered by scientists in the 1980s. So if you have a family member who has died from cancer, please join us where we are bringing a class action lawsuit against the government for 2 million unnecessarily deaths in cancer. So if you just put the person's name, address, what they died of, how old they were when they were died, and also your name, your contact details, and a short summary of what happened, we will add you to the class action lawsuit. And we think we are going to go for £1 million for each family of the deceased. So that is therefore a $2 trillion lawsuit. And don't forget that if GcMAF is put in the NHS today, it will save 120,000 lives a year if they do it badly. So we have to campaign to get GcMAF put in the NHS, and we have to campaign to free Lyn Thyer. Thank you all so very, very much for coming.
Thanks, David. It's a fantastic turnout, and our challenge is to get GcMAF into people's vocabulary. Because at the moment, of course, it's a term that very few people have heard of. But you know, the government and the pharmaceutical industry readily acknowledge that 1 in every 3 people will contract some form of cancer in the course of their life. But they also forecast that that's going to increase to 1 in every 2 people by 2025, and everyone will contract some form of cancer forecast by 2040. And the pharmaceutical industry is rubbing its hands in glee at the potential revenue stream here. And of course, there's no interest in curing cancer because they want to protect that revenue stream, coupled with, of course, the agenda to use it to accelerate the demise of people who cannot, due to ill health, contribute directly to the corporatocracy. So we're having, because everyone's making the effort, we're having tremendous success. And it was no surprise to me that within 72 hours of announcing that we would hold this GcMAF awareness event here today, the BBC then decided to do another hit piece on GcMAF and David Noakes. No attempt at balanced broadcasting, no attempt to make any contact with people who have benefited from GcMAF, simply to demonise and of course make outrageous claims that David was, you know, purely in it for the money. If he was interested in money, he'd have stayed in banking. So, you know, David and Lyn are the epitome of altruism. You know, their sole motivation for what they do was to provide an opportunity for people who have the misfortune to have their immune system compromised and contract some form of cancer, and provide an alternative to the pernicious and horrendous treatments that are on offer, the only treatments that are on offer by the pharmaceutical industry. It's almost a decade now since I lost my sister. She had supposedly the best healthcare. She was at the Royal Marsden for nearly 4 months. And the only thing, of course, that the medical profession offers is chemotherapy, radiotherapy, or major surgery, or any combination of. And, you know, I saw my sister go through sheer hell in the last 2 years of her life. Had GcMAF been available, whether she took it or not, it would have been an option. And this is the fact that we absolutely need to address, going beyond just GcMAF. And that is that the medical profession, the MHRA, and a compliant and complicit government want to remove our health choices. Legislation was introduced in the EU in 2013 to effectively outlaw all natural healthcare products. It hasn't been enforced fully, but that's why naturopaths and herbalists are becoming increasingly difficult to locate, because the government and the regulatory bodies make it extremely difficult for them to practice their chosen profession. So, you know, if people choose to go down the path of chemo and radiotherapy, of course that is their option. But sadly, in most cases, they have no idea that there are alternatives available. And currently, of course, the likelihood is that you know, those around them would persuade them to stay with orthodoxy and go down the chemo radiotherapy route. So this isn't just about GcMAF and cancer, it's about health freedom. It's about our sovereignty and our fundamental human right to choose how it is that we treat ourselves when the body is compromised, when the physical vehicle is compromised. And I know that David is absolutely an advocate of health freedom. He works very closely with Scott Tipps, the president of the National Health Federation. And forgive me if I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but I believe that David is the future president of the National Health Federation. Oh, I let the cat out of the bag, sorry.
Yes, the National Health Federation, which is in 22 nations, headquartered in California, is the one of a handful of benevolent health freedom organizations. Has a magazine, Health Freedom News, and the National Health Federation has a very dodgy chairman who has been to prison. The chairman of the National Health Federation is David Noakes, and I have been to Wandsworth Prison for GcMAF.
And as I'm sure some of you are aware, the National Health Federation has a seat as a consultative member to the Codex Alimentarius Commission. And of course, very few people have heard of Codex Alimentarius, and you're not meant to. You know, it's words that don't naturally slide off the tongue. It's not part of our day-to-day lexicon. But the Codex Alimentarius agenda has been an agenda that's been around since the early 1960s, and the intent of the Codex Alimentarius agenda is to outlaw all natural food products and all natural healthcare products. And who's behind the push now to introduce GMOs throughout the world? None other than Bill Gates. The man who's been pushing vaccines in the third world. And if you haven't seen the episode of Humanity versus Insanity that I did with Dr. Graham Downing 3 weeks ago now, and then last week with David, in the first half of that program, we were discussing the experiments that have been conducted on unsuspecting people throughout the world in the interests of supposed health science. In reality, there was a much more pernicious agenda, and of course that was to effectively make significant chunks of the sub-Saharan population infertile. So anyone who thinks that the establishment has your or my best interests at heart just isn't paying attention. There are so many things that we need to address, but we have to pick them off one at a time. And GcMAF right now I think is an absolutely primary cause. And David, if it wasn't for you and Lyn, GcMAF wouldn't be in the vocabulary, and the people that you did manage to save would not be alive today. So thank you so much.
The website of the NHF is thenhf.com, and in England it is thenhf.co.uk. We have a number of campaigns there, and right at the top, of course, is to get GcMAF into the NHS, where it'll save 120,000 lives a year, and to get GcMAF into the American hospitals, where it will save 600,000 a year.
So for those who don't know about GcMAF, it's a natural protein that's found in a healthy person's body, and it's the body's natural way of combating autoimmune illnesses like cancer, for example, and others. And it's not the only way of treating cancer. There was a guy in America, his name was Dr. Dr. Stanislaw, can't pronounce it, Brzezowski, who developed and patented an effective cancer treatment called anti-neoplastons. So if you want, I advise people to look that up. There's also fenbendazole, I think I'm pronouncing that properly, fenbendazole, which is another new one. If you search for My Cancer Story Rocks, which is a dietary supplement, I do believe. But you know, the cancer treatments, they go back all the way back to the 1800s. When you look at Royal Raymond Rife, who was treating cancer with vibration and sound. There's also Wilhelm Reich, who was studying organ energy and the effect that orgonite has on the body. So you know, GcMAF isn't the only effective cancer treatment out there, and the establishment has shown time and time again that they're just going to shut it down. They're going to shut it down as much as they can. They don't want people healthy, because treating, making people healthy isn't profitable. So that's not what they want. They can make a lot more money by keeping people sick. So this is why it's so important for people like everybody here to stand up and shout out about it, even if GcMAF only helps one person. It's worth shouting about, but it is evident that it does work. Many people have spoken out about it. If you look on positive testimonials online for GcMAF, there's loads of people. There's the one woman even wrote a whole book dedicated to GcMAF. And if you type in negative testimonials, I wish you good luck, because I couldn't find anything. I spent a whole day researching GcMAF, trying to find something to contradict it, something to prove to me that it doesn't work. I found nothing. In fact, I've spent more than a day. So this is why I'm so sure of it, and these people are just awesome. So do your research and find your groups and shout out. So here with Ian R. Crane. So I just wanted to ask you a quick question. So legend goes that David Noakes went to one of your talks, and that's how he first found out about GcMAF. So,
yeah, apparently that's the case.
yeah, so
the talk was a talk I was giving on Codex Alimentarius at
Right.
Ghent University in Belgium in 2008. It was either 2008, late 2008 or early 2009.
Yep.
And unbeknown to me, I had no idea that David was in the audience, and I was literally trying to explain that there are suppressed treatments which have proven to be extremely effective, and they are suppressed by the pharmaceutical industry because obviously it would have an impact on their revenue stream, because there's no money in health, there's a shed load of money in sickness.
Yep.
And so the role of the pharmaceutical industry, and in fact Goldman Sachs issued a report a couple of years ago stating that health was not sustainable as an industry, and that basically their role is clearly just to keep people in need of medicines. So I made a, dare I say, almost a throwaway comment, and I asked the audience if anybody had heard of GcMAF. And of course nobody had, and I said, well, I rest my case, because there are multiple research papers published A number have been submitted to the American Medical Library, so they can be located on PubMed. And unbeknown to me, as I say, I didn't know David was there. He went away, did his own research, and was shocked to find that everything I said stacked up.
Yeah, brilliant.
And so he gave up his career in banking to focus on developing GcMAF.
And that, you know,
banking.
that proves that it's not about the money. He's not doing it for the money.
No.
He's doing it because he's got a kind heart and he's looking out for the best interests of everyone.
Absolutely.
You know? So yeah.
And you know, anybody that I mean, as you heard me say just now, you know, this is really about health freedom. I mean, if people wish to go down the route of chemo or radiotherapy, that is their prerogative.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
But the option should be there.
The option should be there
for people to have alternative treatments, and
exactly.
it should not be shut down by the establishment, by hit pieces in the media.
Exactly.
Yeah, like we should have a choice of which treatments we choose. Anyway, I'll let you get on.
GcMAF cures cancer! 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 Free Lyn Thyer! 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 Free Lyn Thyer!